Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Gillian Barry, and today we have an amazing return guest. We have Magri Jade Jackson. She is a juicing coach, a juicing expert. I love her. She did a 120-day juice fast about 2 years ago, and it totally transformed her life. Since then, she has made juicing her life. She helps guide people to change their lives through juicing as well. She knows so much, and it is a pleasure to have her on to talk about how to break a juice fast. There are not too many videos on YouTube about this, and I get asked this all the time. Can you please do a video about this? Because there's no good videos about this. So that's why we are here today, because how you break your fast is just as important as how you do your fast. So let's learn from Magri how to properly break the juice fast. Hey, Magri, how's it going?
Hi, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
People are
thanks
going
for.
to start to get sick of the sight of me.
No, they're not. We love seeing you, and you're vibing high on day 18 of your juice fast right now.
Yeah, little
Yeah.
recap.
And just for anybody who doesn't know, who didn't see the other videos, if you could just say quick, maybe how juicing has changed your life.
It's easier to say how juicing hasn't changed my life. I got out of a toxic relationship. I experienced exactly what self-love really is. I lost a bunch of weight. I now sort of help people as well do juice fasting, so I help them to transform their lives in a mind, body, and spirit way. Yeah, juicing really feels like it was the making of me. So yeah, it's
Yeah,
changed my
that's
life a lot.
it's amazing. When I think of juicing, I think of you. And you have a big program coming up, a mastery program, right? Where people can change their life for juicing. Maybe talk a little bit about what that is, and then let's get into how to break the fast.
Yeah, when I was doing my juice fast, I realized just how important it was to have friends and comrades on the same sort of journey. So I put together a program with Shane Sterling about, oh God, it's probably about 8 months ago now. And we run that every second month. So sort of January, March, May, and that runs for 40 days. And that's a group juice fasting program. And they're really busy, really popular. And January is looking like it's going to be a really big one. So it looks like a really fun one to join. So if you are thinking of doing a juice fast in January, you can do that with the group. And if you don't like the group sort of setting, I do run the private juice fast as well, coaching.
Yeah.
That's just with me, and yeah, in the
Okay.
privacy.
And I think that's a key for some people. It can really help them like make or break that fast, having that support. So I'll link all that down below. And let's talk about the juice fast. So this or the breaking the fast. This is a pretty simple episode. It's not gonna be too long because I think it's pretty simple. But how do we break the fast? You know, a lot of people say the prune test. Typically, when I do, it's fruit. Sometimes I've done it wrong. In my 37 days, I had a big salad. I know that's not right. So, what do you think is the proper way to break the fast first? And then I have some questions about like the dangers of breaking it improperly and some other things as well.
Yeah. Well, you should spend at least half the time that you were doing the juice fast breaking the fast in an ideal world. And now that's not to say that that bit is easy. I think it's the hardest bit because you naturally want to just stuff your face full of all the things that you haven't eaten for however long. So it takes a lot more discipline and self-control, and yeah, it's the hardest part, I think, of the juice fast.
Yeah. And what do you think if people say, well, I still feel good breaking it with salad or eating all these other things right away? I don't have discomfort. Like, do you think it's okay then if your body's saying that, or it's still important to like really work your way in with things?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen all different types. Dan Udy, who you had on here, I coached him through the last bit of his 100 days, and he was saying, I'm going to follow the refeeding program step by step, word for word. And then he's eating flax crackers on day 3. And he was fine. I think that part of it with Dan, when he gets his head set on something, he does it. So he's been really consciously rebuilding, and he does all the do's. He does the meditation in the morning, the journaling, the grounding, the fitness, and the good eating. So yeah, I mean, for some people it can work, for some people it can't. For me personally, I broke it slowly the first 3 days after 120 days, and then I started to want to eat things like dehydrated pizza. I didn't have any fats till a couple of weeks after, so I didn't break it the right way, and I kind of suffered with a lot of bloating and a lot of discomfort in my tummy that I wouldn't have got, or I didn't get when I refed properly after smaller fasts. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I just think it's person dependent. If you're healing something, I would definitely say the refeeding is crucial. If you're sort of fit and healthy and just come into it for a bit of a spring in your step, maybe you might be okay just having what you want after the fast, but I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you think, like, as far as foods go? Like, do you advise everybody the same food to break the juice fast with, or the same protocol, or is it different, like person to person?
I always sort of suggest, I say it's a three-stage affair. So however long you've done the juice fast, half that, and then break that into three. And then the first third, you're going to be still having your juices, but just replacing one of the meals with a fruit. If you want to really get intricate into it, then you could break it. Then you could have the same fruit every day at different times just to see how it fits in your body. I don't. That's a real sort of looking introspectively and
Mm-hmm.
knowing your body, getting to know your body really well. So you could like break it with a mango in the morning, and then the next day have the mango in the afternoon, and still have the same juices, and then kind of see how it feels in the body. But otherwise, it's hard to try and get people to stop eating. So
Yeah.
yeah, sticking to the juices and replacing one meal with two fists of fruit is the ideal way. So if you so say you've been doing 40 days and you're breaking it for 20, what are we there? About about a week on the juices still, replacing just one meal. And then the second week, you can replace one of the meals with the fruit and then replace another one of the juices with a salad with a low fat dressing, and no fat dressing really. And then the third week is when you can start to introduce the fats. And I think that's when it gets really interesting in the body because
Wow.
yeah, the fats seem to sit differently in there.
Yeah, they
Seem to
take longer to digest usually, I feel like. They slow things down. That's for sure, I think for most people.
Yeah, and I would recommend breaking it with papaya just because it is a enzyme
Hmm.
in itself as a fruit. That's why I broke mine with that. But I mean, it wasn't nice. Now I would break it with a mango just because I love mangoes now. But
Yeah. And when
yeah,
people break a fast, is it like, I think that it's supposed to go through them right away, like pretty quickly, right? Or if it doesn't, they say you need more cleansing. Is that true? Or is there anything to
yeah.
that?
I mean, some people do the prune test. I didn't do that. I don't really like prunes. That could be different now. I might like prunes. I didn't think I liked dates before I was a raw vegan, but now I love them, obviously. But you want it to have a certain amount of face time in the bowels. You don't want it to be just shooting through you because then your body's not absorbing anything from it. So I did have a lady who has just done a refeed and she done the prune test and it came out of her in 16 minutes.
Wow.
16 minutes. Yeah, she was like, "Have I passed?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, but that's like a bit of a fail because your body's just not taking anything from that."
Wow.
Bless her. But yeah, you kind of want it to be, well, John Rose says between an hour and a half and 3 hours, I think. Shane says between 2 and 6, and I would be inclined to say between 2 and 4. I think mine took about 3.5, 4 hours to come out after 120 days.
And then if
Yeah, that feels
if
good.
like nothing's coming out, you should maybe keep cleansing.
Yeah, unfortunately. That's not what some people want to hear.
And after you start eating, it's hard because you just want to keep eating. Part of it, when you juice cleanse, it's kind of easy just to stick to it because you're not eating. You're just juicing. Once you start eating the food, you just want to have more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and there's even an air of that when you're sort of water fasting after, if you've done water fasting after juice fasting, you kind of feel like, yeah, just like just ravenous on all the juices. So yeah, it's a similar thing when you're eating. You just want to eat everything, and yeah, it's so much trickier.
Yeah. And do you think there can be any dangers with how people break the fast? Like I've heard of dangers, I think, with like water fasting or dry fasting, how they break the fast. I think I've heard like you really have to be careful with how you break those fasts. And I mean, I'm not an expert in that, but what do you think about juicing? Is there like, do you think there's dangers with how people can break their fast or no?
Well, I know that you can get sort of gross edema, I think it's called, if you feed too quickly after a fast. I don't know if that's just after water fasting or if it could be after juice fasting as well. But sort of that, I mean, binge eating is never good for after anything, really, is it? And being mindful with your food after that is kind of the goal rather than sort of stuffing it all in. But that being said, the refeed is the refeed, and once you're refeeding with the right stuff, I don't think you'll tend to gorge on it. I mean, once you've had a nice big salad, you don't really get hungry for anything else. It's just when you start eating like the dehydrated stuff and
Yeah.
kind of processed in a raw way stuff, then you can just get all those fats and those sugars and in that way can lead to a bit of gorging and a bit of binging. So yeah, that's why I think it's so important to take it slowly with the refeed and treat your tummy like a newborn baby. You know, like that was it list of 100 foods to feed a baby, and you go through it day by day and you feed them a bit like that. I think that's how you should sort of approach the refeed, and yeah, take it a bit slow like that.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well said. And I was going to ask you if you have any tips for people to avoid like the binge eating after. I know for me, when I'm juicing too, I'm always like, any cleanse, I'm like looking up all these foods I don't normally eat, fantasizing about just eating everything. But then I don't. It's like I have some raw foods and I am satisfied. But do you think for some people it can spiral them after they break the juice fast and they start refeeding? And there's like any ways to avoid that? Maybe having you as a coach too, right? Do people keep you as a coach during the refeeding process too?
Yeah, I mean, that kind of just came about really after the juice fast, because after the juice fast coaching, because I'm a chef by trade anyway, and the food is my first passion, that people were asking sort of for a refeed coach, and I made a little booklet with a few little recipes, which is available on my website, and the perfect way to break the fast. So yeah, that just kind of fell into my lap. People were crying out for it. So yeah, having a coach along that time is really good. And there's someone there to say, can I have this? And do you think apple cider vinegar is okay now? And
Hmm.
what about olive oil? And sort of all those little questions, which you find you get a lot more questions when you're refeeding than when you're sort of juice fasting.
True. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been great. Thanks for sharing more with us on how to break the fast. If there's anything you feel like sharing that maybe you think I missed in this that you'd want to share with everybody about breaking it anymore, then please do so. And then let everybody know where they can find you as well.
Yeah, well, I will say with the refeeding, again, it is still part of the journey. It isn't linear, this healing. It's not a straight road. You're almost bound to go to eating loads, but maybe you need to feel that in your body and feel how it feels and how uncomfortable it is to then not do it again. So sometimes we've got to go through these things so that we learn. So I wouldn't feel like you failed if you've binged eat or you've eaten a bit too much of this. Just take note, take stock, have a journal about it, maybe have a free write about it, and yeah, and just know that you're on the path to healing, whether it's a bit of a bumpy ride or not.
Well said. Absolutely. And everybody go follow Magri and I'll link everything down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a big thumbs up right now. And we hope to welcome Magri back again in the future. And subscribe if you don't already. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.
Bye bye.